It's time for the podcast, which is all about the world of marketing on television through TV, shopping networks, and infomercials. Are we on the air? I'm your host, Sean Wilsey, and for over 29 years, I've hosted shows on cable shopping networks, generating hundreds of millions of dollars in sales, and now I want to be your guide into this world, explaining how it works, why it works, what doesn't work, and introduce you to the people who are making it the success that it is today. Speaking of introducing you to the people who are making it the success that it is today, if you are looking for the second part of my interview with Steve Bryant, because of the holidays, we're taking a little time off, so he'll be back in 1 week if you're downloading these shows as they're posted, which I appreciate all of you who are doing just that. Many of you are making sure that you have subscribed, and so the shows are downloaded automatically as they are posted. And today is one of the ones I look forward to. It's one of those shows where we get to skewer some commercials, because commercials, again, the foundation of advertising on television, which really does impact how things are marketed and sold on TV shopping networks and infomercials. A good infomercial can be broken down into a 2-minute or 1-minute commercial and repeated on television ad nauseum. You can call the 800 number for the slank. What was they? Slanket. Wasn't that what the first one? We sold the Cuddle Up when I was working at another network, so that's the one I always think of. But anyway, so you know you can see that in a 2-minute commercial. Although I don't know if they ever had a full infomercial for that. I would have to look into that. That might be an item that they never actually did a full 30-minute infomercial on. But anyway, because we've covered the world of advertising, we will continue to do so. Because let's face it, advertising is a part of pop culture, and I am a pop culture dummy, but I love watching a good commercial, and I am all up in the pop culture of commercials. Anyway, so we're up to the 1960s now. We talked about advertising on radio. We talked about it in the 1950s. 1950s, go back, download the episode so you can hear it. It was still a lot of just an announcer talking over something on TV, some action on TV. In the 1960s, the ad agencies and the companies started to realize that we've got this medium that we need to take advantage of, and the viewer is becoming more savvy. And just having a voiceover, an announcer talk over whatever's going on screen is not going to sell anymore. And so the creative juices started flowing. I always thought it was so smart having that series, Mad Men, set in the 1960s, because that is really where the creativity started in advertising. In the 1950s, there was not a lot of creativity. In the 1960s, there was. The takeaway from this episode is going to be careful what you do today, because down the road it can bite you. I'm going to play some commercials and we're going to analyze them. Where at the time, wow, this is a great idea. This is a great way to sell a product. And we look back on it now and say, what the hell were we thinking? And I've got a number of examples I'm going to play for you. There's one of it. Well, I'll hold that thought for a second. First one I want to play is for Noxzema. Noxzema, the shaving cream. The shaving cream that every man has used at one point in his life to help get a good close shave. How would I advertise Noxzema? Well, simple. I would say, well, I don't want razor burn. I want a good close shave. And so I'm going to apply Noxzema shaving cream to my face. And oh my gosh, I've just got the nicest, closest shave. Not a bad pitch, right? In the 1960s, here is how Noxzema was marketed.
Men, nothing takes it off like Noxzema medicated shave.
Now, what you just saw was an extreme close-up, forehead to chin, of a beautiful blonde woman holding a can of Noxzema, and in a very sexy manner looking into the camera saying those words. Let me back that up. We'll just start it again, and then, well, you could probably get an idea what was about to happen. Oh, by the way, the first shot of this pretty blonde woman before she holds a can of Noxzema up, she's biting onto a strand of pearls, delicately placed in her mouth.
Men, nothing takes it off like Noxzema medicated shave.
The video is of a man shaving. That's it. Just a man shaving. He's still shaving.
Take it off. take it all off.
Again, close-up of the pretty woman. Still shaving.
Nothing takes it off like Noxema medicated shave.
The closer you shave, the more you need Noxema. Noxema medicated comfort shave.
Okay, a 1-minute commercial, by the way. You see very little in the way of 1-minute commercials anymore. We could never do that today. You couldn't do that maybe late night on a cable network, but there's no way that commercial would fly today. Even 20 years ago, you probably could have gotten away with it. But, and even though the rules tend to be different between men and women and how they're depicted on TV, that would not fly today. So again, what worked in the 1960s and even a little bit later on probably would not fly today. Oh, brace yourselves for this next one. We're about to advertise coffee. How would I advertise coffee today? Well, and I'm a coffee snob. You know, I'm one of those, I grind my own beans. It has to be brewed a certain way. It's just because I really love coffee. Even Starbucks, ugh, it's garbage in my mind. I am a coffee snob. How do you advertise coffee? Well, you would talk perhaps about being mountain grown. Folgers likes to do that. How great it smells, how great it tastes. You know, it's a very sensory thing, isn't it? And so that is how I would go about advertising coffee. Well, not in the 1960s. Here's a husband and wife getting ready to enjoy some coffee.
Oh, this coffee is criminal.
Honey,
He just took a sip of the coffee and proceeded to take the cup and throw the coffee onto the flowers.
Coffee is criminal.
honey, you killed the petunias.
Then you admit it. Your coffee really is murder.
So now she's in the grocery
Papa,
store.
My coffee, it's murder. It's either too bitter or too weak.
Try Folgers. Never bitter, never weak, always nice and rich. Because Folgers coffee is mountain grown.
Mountain grown?
Like the sign says. Mountain grown for richer flavor. Mountains is where the best coffee comes from.
Well, all right.
Now they're at dinner, and by the way, they're each beautifully dressed in this scene now. They were outside having the coffee at first. Now they're each beautifully dressed, and she's pouring that Folgers.
You know, it's a crime not to have delicious coffee like this all the time.
We will, now that I've discovered the mountains.
And they lean in for a kiss. There's so much. Now, the middle part, fine. When you have the friendly little grocery man explaining the coffee, fine. It's facts, you know, it's great. But the opening and the closing, their marriage is based on whether his wife makes a good cup of coffee. Let that sink in. And by the way, this is part of a series of ads that they did. There's others that are out there. And I apologize for the audio quality. I didn't know it was going to play like that until just now. It's sexist because he's judging his wife on that she makes a good cup of coffee. Obviously, she is what we would have called a housewife, you know, and so it's her job to satisfy her man. And the coffee is how their marriage apparently is judged. I don't know. It's a different time. It's a different era. And what worked in the 60s doesn't work today. So you have to be careful if you're going to market a product. This is why I always say, play it safe. Err on the side of caution. Because if you obviously it's impossible to not offend at least one person with anything that you do or you say. But things like that do not age well. Speaking of, while we're on the subject of things that don't age well, and, let's just listen to National Airlines.
Everything you've heard about us Miami girls is true. We're always on the move. I'm Judy, and I was born to fly. Fly me to Houston. National has nonstop...
Fly me to Houston. By the way, this is obviously a flight attendant, what we would have called a stewardess. And now in the scene that is currently airing, she's proceeding to, well, take her clothes off and get down to her bikini.
DC-10s every day, or fly me to New Orleans on the only DC-10s. You can fly me morning, afternoon, or night. Just say when. I'm Judy, and I was born to fly. Fly me.
Fly Judy. Fly National.
Yeah, okay, that one just kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it? That's how airlines were sold. What mattered was how pretty your stewardesses were. And National obviously no longer exists, but had a good run with commercials like that. Southwest, and Southwest is doing a good job getting these things pulled from YouTube. They have had some exceptionally sexist commercials over time, and they're vanishing from YouTube, so I was not able to find the ones I was really looking for, because they really pushed the limit. I keep putting off playing this one because I'm still debating, do I want to run this one? Do I want to run this one? I don't know. Hey, ladies, you apparently were a big problem in the 1960s, at least according to what the ad agencies say. We don't apparently have to be careful about women drivers, too. I didn't know that.
Depending on how you drive and your car's condition, you can get incredible mileage from the Goodyear Custom Wide Tread Polyglass tire.
I've got 32,000 miles on my tires.
I've
nice.
got 41,000 miles on my Polyglass.
Great.
But Polyglass means more than mileage.
Oh, really?
When your wife has to drive alone.
Uh-oh. Getting ominous. Scary pictures. Woman's driving alone. Uh-oh. The woman can't deal with problems relating to cars. In the video, again, it's just all these ominous night scenes and a lot of quick cuts as this woman is driving. Man, what a time. I feel like as a man we need to apologize to the women of the world for the way we depicted them through the 1960s. You were qualified to be a stewardess or a housewife, and God forbid we get you behind the wheel of a car. Ladies, we apologize on behalf of all the men. The reason I'm doing this show is, again, what are we doing today in advertising that we're going to look back on 20 years from now and say, what were we thinking? So I always say, err on the side of caution, be careful. And not just, again, the things we were getting away with in the 60s, moving away from something so heavy, perhaps. Legally, this goes back to the whole, what can you do legally? Excuse me. Because you have to be careful about making claims. Now, Listerine, we all know, is a mouthwash. We all know you brush your teeth, you gargle with it, kill germs. Okay, fair enough. That's the way it's been advertised forever, right? Up through about the mid-70s, Listerine had a different take. Yes, they still talked about it as something that you needed to use after you brush your teeth, but listen to why. Opening scene is a house window open and the snow is flying outside.
Before you guys go anywhere, you're gonna gargle with Listerine.
I haven't got bad breath.
I know. But every time it snows, it seems you guys catch colds.
Yeah, but so do you and Dad.
And we can't stop them. But this year, we're gonna all fight back with lots of sleep, good food, and Listerine twice a day.
That means I can't stay home from school.
Exactly. That's the whole idea. Now, last one into the bathroom is a big ape.
Bet big apes don't have to gargle.
No, only little apes.
This cold season, fight back with Listerine Antiseptic.
What Listerine was claiming is that it's going to be killing these germs, which can lead to colds and flu. And this was a claim that they made in their commercials for a lot of years. And then finally, mid-70s, got into some serious trouble for making those claims, wound up having to fork over some serious dough. And in fact, for a number of years afterwards, they would do the more traditional Listerine commercial like you're used to it. And they would have to end the commercial, or at least at some point in the commercial, disclaim, well, Listerine will not cure the common cold. It does help fight bad breath, or whatever the verbiage was. So this is why anytime I'm selling a product, if there is even the slightest hint of a medical claim, I dance around it. I avoid it if at all possible. Supplements are something that I have avoided like the plague selling, because you have to be so careful. HSN does a good job with Andrew Lessman, or QVC, I guess. Now he's on both of them, making sure that they're covered legally with anything and everything that he says. And it's honestly why you don't see a lot of supplements on TV shopping networks or infomercials, is because you have to be so careful. Now, that said, recently, and it's a thing that finally got Jim Baker in trouble last year, or a couple years ago, I guess now, because it's something that televangelists have realized there's a lot of money to be made with supplements, and I've seen a number of them now in hidden infomercial form. And we have a show on this we're going to be doing next year, selling supplements. And so it's really walking a fine line. Okay. It's time. This is the one I have debated. I've been planning this show for weeks, and I've gone back and forth 50 times. Am I playing this? Am I not playing this? Am I playing this? Am I not playing this? Again, this is strictly for historical context. I'm not going to be able to play the whole thing because I cringe listening to this. This was deemed acceptable through the 1960s to sell Jell-O. Jell-O gelatin. It's an animated one of a Chinese woman giving Jell-O to her baby. I don't know how much of this I'm going to be able to play.
Back to present ancient Chinese pantomime, just for fun of it, Jell-O tonight. Back to present small Chinese type baby waiting for dessert. Chinese mother bling baby Jell-O, famous Western delicacy. Poor Chinese baby. He unable to tell if this Jell-O is strawberry, raspberry, jelly.
Okay, I don't think I can take any more of this. The announcer, the stereotype speech. The animation is, of course, the baby trying to use chopsticks to eat Jell-O and unable to do it. This was effing acceptable in 1960. Thank God we have come a long ways. And by the way, I am the least politically correct person you will ever meet in your life. I cringe watching this. But again, I ask the question, what are we doing today in advertising that we're going to look back on 10, 20 years from now and have this same reaction? Because I guarantee there are things that we will look back on years from now and say, what were we thinking? That was a huge mistake. In the future, I'm going to be doing a show, because we've still got a couple decades of commercials to skewer, about what I think are the best advertisements of all time. And there's a term called image advertising. And again, I don't want to turn this into a college-level advertising class, but the best, I think, commercials of all time have been where you haven't sold the product, you sold an image, you sold an idea. Folgers redeems themselves as, I think, one of the best commercials of all time. Campbell's Soup. And they're commercials that I'll play for you where you have no idea what you're being sold. But anyway, that'll be coming in the future. But as we look back now on these old commercials and we think, what was acceptable then and what is acceptable today and how things will change. Because I'm telling you, they will change. And we will wonder that. Again, if you're looking for the Steve Bryant interview part 2, that will be happening next week. The episode that will be uploaded on, getting my calendar, December 4th. Today's the 27th. December 4th is when that episode will be up, and we'll talk to Steve for the second time. Listen, like, comment, and share, please. Take this podcast, like, comment, share, and I hope you'll find me on Twitter and Facebook, Sean Wilsey, and on Instagram, SWilsey is where you can find me. And as always, I thank you so much for downloading this edition of Are We on the Air? This has been a King Bobby production.
Yes, I know, Travis. That's why we give such bargains.